These are tears that you don't understand the prayers that has been made. These are tears that has accompanied me through this journey. These are tears of satisfaction, Mr. President. These are tears of joy, Ashley. These are tears that just establish how proud I am to stand before my people. I said to stand before my people. I never read nothing. I usually come right off my cap, but it's a couple things that I wanted to truly establish. I believe that God led me here, not man. I'm gonna say that real slow. I believe that God led me here, not man, because man didn't believe that I was coming. W.C. Gordon, Jackie Slater, Lynn Barney, Robert Brazile, Eddie Payton, the late Walter Payton, Jimmy Smith, and Houston Hoover, who drove me to every game, established a tradition here that I believe that we can reestablish. I believe the men that I sat and looked into their eyes on that Zoom call yesterday can win SWAC championships. I believe the Sonic Boom is the best thing since peanut butter and jelly. I believe that our commitment to excellence academically can continue. I believe that our student enrollment can increase. I believe that the crime in this community could cease. I believe that these young men that we're raising is going to be pillars in the community, not only professional football players, but professionals.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap, Brian and AD. And this is, of course, the group chat segment that we've been telling you about. Joining us right now from Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab, the doc himself, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, and, of course, Charles Bishop, one of the happiest Tigers in Tigerland right now.
That's two of them. That's two of them today, Brian. How we gonna deal with that? We just got to talk to one Tiger. Now we got another one on here. We just can't.
Yes,
run
indeed. Gotta love it.
Exactly. I mean, oh, happy days are here again in Jackson State. So, and so obviously, if you haven't had a chance to go back and listen to what was Tuesday night's show, a great show where Doc, Charles, Mike, and even AD joined in on the conversation, probably just a day after the announcement that Deion Sanders became the 21st head coach at Jackson State. That's some good stuff. And, you can find that on YouTube under Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You can find it on Twitter at Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1, and also on Facebook. So, I mean, make sure to go back and check out episode 84, if I'm not mistaken, right, Doc?
That's correct. Episode 84. I appreciate that plug.
Yeah. It's funny how
and you need to be careful as a media person. You need to be using Coach Prime now. That's what it is.
Exactly. I've got to get used to that. Coach Prime, obviously. So we have, I mean, obviously there has been a lot of conversation. We've seen a lot. And so what I'm hoping in our group chat is sort of, I told AD, there's some like behind the scenes stuff, things that led up to Coach Prime coming to Jackson State, and then wanted to get into talking a little bit about just some of the reactions of what we've seen, because as we record this, it's been about 48 hours, 72 hours. By the time most of you watch this, it's been towards the end of the week. And so we've had a chance to kind of see the reaction from just the national media. So let me start with just a little background, because I think one of the things that we heard coming into the rumors of Deion possibly becoming the coach was, at the time there was already an interim coach in place. Obviously TC Taylor, who was the interim offensive coordinator, or interim head coach. He was offensive coordinator. And there was a lot of talk that he was going to be the successor and he was going to be the coach. And so after the announcement, it almost seemed to ruffle some feathers, not all, not a majority, but there seemed to be a ruffling of feathers by some as to, whoa, what happened? How does Deion get this position over TC Taylor? And so it had me thinking and wondering, who is TC Taylor, for those who may not know? And I guess I'll start with you, Charles, and kind of say, you know, who is TC Taylor? And, you know, the narrative that was put out there was that he was possibly overlooked for this job, that this was a job that he was perfect for. Tell those who don't know maybe a little bit of background on TC Taylor and just your thoughts. Had Deion not become the head coach, had it not worked out in the negotiation process, would TC Taylor have been a fit that would have been a good fit for Jackson State?
Yeah, I think TC Taylor would have been a tremendous fit. One of the things that a lot of the Tiger faithful know about TC Taylor is he is an extremely bright individual, a meticulous planner. And we interviewed former Jackson State quarterback Robert Kent, and Robert Kent talked about TC Taylor's intelligence on the football field, and he's taking that intelligence into the coaching rank. So if TC Taylor was indeed to be Jackson State's future head coach, I think the Tiger faithful would have rallied in behind him. They love having one of their own sons, if you will, to take the reins of Jackson State football.
What about your thoughts on that, Doc, in terms of just the thought that here's an assistant coach being, as it was spun, overlooked, or sort of, here's a guy who's come from being an assistant coach at a community college to being an assistant coach and offensive coordinator at a couple other HBCUs. He's put in like 14, 15 years of time, and then he sort of skipped overlooked. Is that a fair narrative? That's kind of, I hate to use the word fair, it's one of my least favorite words, but
yeah, no, I understand the gist of that question, and you're right. I don't know if fair is the word we want to talk about, especially on top of what we recently heard about Breonna Taylor. In this life cycle we live in, there's not a lot of things that we can talk about fairness. But I think it is an open and honest critique that we need to look at when you talk about what's taking place. And part of that critique, also in line with TC Taylor, is the fact that he's an HBCU graduate. Jackson State University is the alma mater. And so there are a lot of fans that like the idea of having a person from HBCUs, if not even more so alumni, actually heading up the team. And so I think there is a framework about that. But we need to also look at the historical connection about this. I think the resume that is good, and I'm glad that we're talking about TC Taylor, because he needs us to acknowledge that if it's not at Jackson State, somewhere else, because he is primed to become a head coach. He's put in the work in regards to what is necessary. All the way back when he started out as a graduate assistant, coming up the ranks, I got a chance to actually personally meet him at Texas Southern University. And I've been a proponent, and when I say a proponent, somebody that is an advocate for TC Taylor to get his opportunity, and I think he will. Went to North Carolina Central, helped them have some significant success there, as we know, North Carolina Central getting to the Celebration Bowl and the kind of success they had under him. But as that was transitioning off, he was looking for a new opportunity, one, whether it's head coaching or the transition there in terms of head coaching changes there. So unfortunately, in a lot of ways, this is the nature of the college football business, that you got to be prepared to move, and it's not subject to your timing. All things have to really line up. You know, you all being in that business know more than anybody that being assistant coach and even getting your chance of head coaching for that matter, you know, there's very few people that we can say that stay at an institution from some, 10 plus years. And in this day and age, that's unheard of. Head coach assistant. So that's part and parcel part of the business. So the last thing I would talk about in this case is we also have to talk about they welcome him home. They also talking about him continuing in the capacity with the team, and the fact that now he has the ability to align himself with another brand, and how that could successfully propel him to his next opportunity. And who knows that he still may come back. And this is all about timing. It may not been just his time, not meaning that he wasn't prepared to be a coach. It may not just been the time. And if you're a spiritual person, since we kind of talk about prime time and what he brings to the table, as we heard throughout his briefing, talking about, I believe, if you're that spiritual person, you need to understand that the timing will come at the right time when you're prepared for it, when you're ultimately ready, and a spiritual framework says that it's time for you.
Any thoughts to add on that, AD, regarding just, you've been in I heard you guys kind of talk about this, about being in a role of being an assistant coach, and sort of going through that process and seeing, how sometimes somebody comes in and it's like you clean house a little bit, or you kind of move away from maybe the more established people who are there. Anything that you wanted to add on that?
Well, number one, on TC Taylor, it is to be noted that he was a part of the staff, the only school not named A&T to represent the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl. He was a part of that staff. That's number one. Number two, does he possibly have a right to be bitter? Yeah, a little bit. Anytime you feel that you're qualified and you get passed over for a job, I don't care if it's a job at McDonald's or if it's a job at Jackson State University, you're gonna feel a little bit bitter. But the big thing is, what does he do with that? Does he frown and get the sour face with those lemons that have just been fed with him? Or does he go get some sugar and make him some lemonade out of this situation? Also, talked about that progression in coaching. Deion did something only Deion can do. You really don't see anybody who goes from a high school assistant coach to a college head coach in that one step. There's a natural step of progression. You go from a high school assistant to a high school head to possibly a college assistant to a college head. He skipped to at least 2 steps in the natural progression of that. And usually when you get to the college level, you have to be a coach, then you go to coordinator, then you get the head coach. But this is prime that we're talking about. Some things, your name, your fame can help you progress and skip steps. We just saw it with Steve Nash in the NBA. So things happen. So no knock against TC Taylor, but if you are Jackson State, you've got an opportunity. You've got to roll the dice, because what Jackson State's been doing for the last 7 years hasn't worked. So what they say, insanity is the definition of doing the same thing over and over again. Jackson State then rolled the dice with all them 21s that we saw on Monday. Number 21 becoming the 21st head coach on September 21. I thought I was in Tunica, Mississippi there, Charles, or down in 21s rolling. I need them next time I'm on the blackjack table. So I'm just going to leave it at that right now.
No doubt.
I did want to jump in there as you said that, and this is